Welcome to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. We are on a mission to interview women and the occasional token man about how their passion and purpose have collided to create healthy relationships and profitable businesses. I am Elizabeth Denham, and I'm here with my co-host Rebecca Monet. We are the founders of The Coterie for Women. And with us, we have some special guests from Woofie's. We're going to start with Michelle Novy, right? As the newest member of the pack, Michelle has been director of marketing at Woofie's for a year. A devoted animal lover, she has a dog and 3 cats. She has also been a foster mom to both dogs and cats throughout the years and was involved with quite a few rescue organizations. A graduate of the University of Maryland College of Journalism, Michelle spent many of her postgraduate years working in the field of radio and television news outlets for outlets such as ABC Radio and Fox News. Prior to joining Woofie's, she worked in private schools and filled roles from preschool teacher to admissions director and East Coast outreach manager. When she's not working on events, social media, and communications for Woofie's, she enjoys yoga, cooking, hikes, and spending time with her friends and family. So welcome to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And Amy Reed is a graduate of the University of Notre Dame. And prior to Woofie's, her background included over a decade of experience in sales, marketing, and training in technology in the telecom companies. After working in Silicon Valley during the dot-com days, Amy took a leap of faith to leave the corporate world and pursue her passion for working with pets to start a pet care business with her neighbor, Leslie Barron. Recognizing the need for reliable pet care in their own neighborhood sparked the idea of launching Woofie's in Ashburn, Virginia in 2004. What started off as a $10 dog walk on day one, Woofie's evolved into an award-winning, technology-driven, multi-million-dollar pet service company. Woofie's offers a variety of services, including pet sitting, in-home overnight care, midday dog walking, mobile pet spa grooming, pet taxi service, and pet CPR first aid certifications, which I find very interesting. Mm-hmm. Amy created Woofie's Pet Ventures in 2018 and spearheaded the company's expansion into franchising. In 2019, they awarded 3 franchises in Northern Virginia in the areas of Reston, Herndon, Leesburg, and South Riding. Woofie's Academy is their in-house professional grooming school and was launched in 2019 to provide a pool of talented groomers for their franchisees. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, and who's this little guy? Hi, Pablo.
Oh my gosh.
So you guys have a very unique team. I think we want to start off talking about that. You have an all-female executive team, yes?
We do.
Tell us kind of about the evolution of that, because that's an unusual experience, but I think a really fun one to have a bunch of women working together.
It is a lot of fun. And as I always say, working with all women can go one of 2 ways. And we have just such the right mix of women, and it works really well. So as you said in the intro, I started the business with Leslie Barron, my business partner. We were neighbors right across the street from one another. So we started our business in Ashburn. That was 16 years ago, this month actually. And so when we started a franchise, we really wanted to pick the very best of the best to join the franchise team. And we had such a pool of talented women that we worked with on our corporate side. And so we are looking for people to fill, the positions from a finance standpoint, a marketing standpoint, operations standpoint, and franchise development standpoint. So we started looking around, and we were able to find and assemble this really amazing team of women. Starting with my business partner, Leslie, and then we have my sister-in-law, Maggie, who does all the franchise development. We have Caroline, who started as a dog walker for us in college at Virginia Tech 10 years ago, and she worked her way up through the corporate ladder, I like to say, and is now, running the operations side of our franchise company. We also have Pat Colombo, who came on as our CFO, who's incredible. And then we also have Michelle Novy here with the marketing. So through a little bit of luck and also just kind of finding those really great talented people and being able to grow them through the company and have a career path for them and move them into the franchise company, we've somehow found ourselves with this really amazing team of women. So I feel very fortunate to work with them.
it interesting when you were telling the story the other day about Carolyn, how she was a dog walker for you for a period of time.
Mhm.
And then she decided to go off to corporate America and wasn't as fulfilled there, right? Even though she had this incredible talent, she chose to come back to Woofie. So clearly she saw something that she was getting there, this pack mentality or this sense of family or team or whatever, however you describe it. I just think it's amazing how she came back and she knew where home was.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because she has described that as coming back home. She worked for us all through college, on every summer break, holiday break. Her parents are clients. Her sister worked for us. Her now husband, his sister worked for us. Her now in-laws worked as clients for us.
Oh,
And
my
it really
goodness.
was coming home, but she took a risk because she had, a year of corporate, and she knew right away it was not for her. She wanted to come back to Woofie's. And at the time we were still growing our consumer business, and she was actually our very first pet sitting manager. We created the role for her. We didn't even know if it would be enough to be a full-time position for her, but we knew we wanted her. And she came in, developed that role, and within a year was managing a team of 100 plus pet sitters at our peak levels. So she was just somebody that we knew early on that she just had that wherewithal to, move up within our corporate environment. We knew that she was entrepreneurial, so that was really great. She created that pet sitting manager role for us, but when we created the franchise business, she had that entrepreneurial spirit. She wanted to jump on board and learn all about franchising, just like the other team members did. But I think a big piece too is something that we identified early on with her and with the other team members of our franchise company. We have the same shared vision, the same mission, the same values. And also we just really fundamentally like and respect one another. We're friends, in the office, outside the office, and it's just a very collaborative atmosphere, and it's unique, I think. I mean, there are days where I kind of pinch myself and I'm like, I can't believe this is the team of women I get to work with every day and grow this new franchise company and see where it goes. And we share a lot of ideas together, and it's very collaborative, and it's a lot of fun, actually. So I feel very lucky.
You are so blessed indeed. So Michelle, you're the newest member of this family.
Yeah.
So describe the entering into this family. Were you instantly embraced? Did you feel comfortable right away? Just tell me.
I would say from the very first time I spoke with Amy on the phone, after I had answered the job ad, I knew right away. I just knew right away. And it's funny how things work that way. I was a Woofie's client for 6 years before I even, knew of any job opportunities with Woofie's. I was working in schools before that. So I, found the opportunity online and was so excited because I thought, oh, here I can combine two things that I love. One is marketing and the other thing is animals. And I never, sometimes you don't really imagine that your work life can be something that, you do as a hobby on the side. At the time I was just, fostering animals. I had my own dog. I had 3 dogs in the past. And then when this opportunity came along, I was so excited. And like I said, when I spoke with Amy on the phone, the very first conversation I had with her was I knew right away that that this was going to be a good thing. And then, throughout the interview process, just like Amy was saying, it was very collaborative. So I could see, the very first meeting I had was with Amy and Caroline, in-person meeting. So we talked a lot. We talked in depth. I think people that love animals already have a lot in common right off the bat. So that's pretty easy. But then after that that first meeting, then, Amy invited me to meet the other team members. So I also met Leslie and Pat. So no one was left out of that process. And I was also able to see, as on the other sside, the interviewee, I was already able to see how that team operated.
Yeah. This was a consensus. This was
right.
Everyone's opinion mattered. Does Michelle fit within our family, so to speak.
Right. And I think, Amy and Leslie wanted to do that for my benefit as well. Not as much as, we want to see, of course, 50% of it is if we want to see if you will fit into our team and our family, but also, do you feel like you're comfortable fitting in with us as well? And like I said, yeah, I mean, as right off the bat, I felt it immediately. So it's been a year now. I think my anniversary is technically, it was the 23rd of September. So it's just about 1 year ago, and it's the best job I've ever had. I will say that. And I've had many, many, many jobs, and I've had many fulfilling jobs too. I mean, I've had jobs that, were great and I was happy at, but I would say this to me feels like the place that I'll stay forever, if I can. So that's how I feel about it. It's been great. I think
well, we have a visitor. So in terms of how that translates to the relationships that you have and the culture that you have with your franchisees throughout the system, how does this element of your culture carry through and trickle down, basically?
I think, because that Amy and Leslie have built this culture in, our company, it just naturally trickles down to, inviting franchisees into the franchise network. They've just built a culture of collaboration and team spirit and hard work and customer service. And then, of course, when they're meeting potential franchisees, those are things that we think about when we're looking for someone to join our franchise family as well. So I think it's just a natural, I think, in business, my opinion is that everything really comes from the top. So, the co-owners and co-founders of Woofie's, if those weren't their most important values, you wouldn't be seeing that in the franchisees as well. You wouldn't be seeing that in the team members. And I would also add, even not just with our corporate team members, but with our pet sitting and dog walking team members, our groomers. I'd say every part of the Woofie's family is not left out of that equation.
So Amy, as a leader, because I agree with you, Michelle, it's kind of the head controls the body, right? And so what we have is partners here that are on the same page with similar values, who have consciously created a culture of inclusivity and collaboration and family and team and appreciation and respect for one another. You live it, Amy, and Leslie lives it, and the rest of the team lives it, and then it trickles all the way down. Are there things that you do specifically with your franchisees to encourage their collaboration? Amy.
Sure, good question. I think the biggest thing is to lead by example, and we're very involved with our franchisees. We have the good fortune of having a close proximity to them, so we can pop in at their offices, we join them at their events. So I think it's really important at all times to lead by example, to show how we work with our team members, how we work with our clients, and to make sure that they see that. And we are very lucky. We have 3 really amazing franchisees who have really embraced our culture and have that same passion for animals and have that same commitment to building a really solid team of people. And they're surrounding themselves with good people. One thing we've talked about with the franchisees is, you can teach people certain skills, but find those really good people with core values that closely align with yours and are loyal to you and loyal to your business and want to see your business grow. A good example, Tanya, who owns our Rustin Herndon franchise, and she was our very first founding franchisee, and just such a lovely, lovely lady, and has embraced the culture so much. And it's really sweet because she always says to myself and to Leslie, I love you guys. I don't ever want to let you down. And I know she never will. And she's just an incredible person inside and out. But she has embraced everything about Woofie's and what's important to us. And it's genuine for her. We just really she was one of those people, when we first met her, we all knew she was going to be our first franchisee. So I think, always leading by example is a really important thing to do, and being very close to our franchisees. We talk to them all the time, see them all the time. We're very involved in their business, and we wouldn't have it any other way. I couldn't imagine doing it differently, to be honest.
This is beautiful. Just beautiful. Wow.
So in terms of, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world as far as the pandemic, because you have been recession resistant. And with this kind of culture, I would imagine that you all were very supportive and have been with your franchisees and how that they needed to navigate this new time of having to do PPE and be careful and that kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about how you've been navigating the last few months and how your culture has benefited those relationships during a crisis.
Sure. Well, we always talk about the Woofie's culture as being off the leash. And so and COVID threw everybody the biggest curveball you can imagine. I mean, the business landscape has definitely changed. It's impacted people on not only the business level, personal level. And I think the biggest thing that we had to do was keep marching forward. And during times of such uncertainty, representing to the franchisees a very strong, confident pace to continue moving forward. So we have the good fortune of being recession resistant. We've proven that over the last 16 years. I wish it wasn't the case, but I can say we are also pandemic resistant. We were labeled an essential service. So we're very grateful that we were not one of the businesses that had to shut down. We were considered essential, so we were able to keep operating, but we had to operate differently. And we did have to kind of navigate through this new COVID world. There were two things that we really did to kind of pivot during COVID and to have our franchisees do the same thing is, obviously with pet sitting and dog walking, that's half of our business. During COVID, especially in the early times, more people were home. So maybe didn't have as much of a need for pet sitting and dog walking, especially in those early days. We actually created a concierge service. So we had all of these pet sitters and dog walkers who maybe didn't have as many dog walks on their schedule, and several of them were full-time sitters for us. And so we created a concierge service where they would go to our clients' houses and they could run errands for them, because there were people that couldn't leave their house, didn't want to leave their house, needed to get groceries, take their dog to the vet. So we created our concierge service, and we actually gave 100% of all the revenues to our pet sitters to help them out during the pandemic. Wow. And our franchisees embraced that as well. The other thing that we did, because there was such a focus on grooming, a lot of the grooming salons were closed, especially in the early days of the pandemic. And people, weren't as comfortable when they did open to take their dogs. So the mobile grooming's been very busy, but we also created curbside grooming. So we now go to neighborhoods, apartment complexes, and that way they're all one-on-one appointments, but we can truly do curbside where there's really no contact with the clients whatsoever. And it just makes people feel more comfortable, but it's also created new line of revenue for our franchisees. So it was really important to stay strong and confident, not, be afraid of what the future holds, and just keep looking at ways we can continue to grow the business, because it's important for us to keep moving forward at our corporate office, but it's really important to keep our franchisees moving forward. So COVID's been a huge challenge, but I'm really proud of how the franchisees have kept through it. And what's really interesting is actually our first franchisee, Tanya in Reston, just got her second mobile grooming van. Leesburg is in the process of getting their second van, and South Riding just got their first van. So they're all moving just forward perfectly with the mobile grooming piece of it. So really excited about that.
So this kind of circles back, Amy and Michelle, to this idea that you really all are very entrepreneurial. This level of creativity is rare, especially as a franchisor gets larger, or just franchising in general. But you have this entrepreneurial spirit at corporate, and then you're also fostering it at the franchisee level. Because here you came up with 3 or 4 boom, boom, boom ideas under this kind of pressure. So first I want to acknowledge that. And then the second thought I had around that, it's kind of that conflict always in franchising. You want someone that's going to follow systems and processes and embrace the brand, etc. But you also want someone that has that a slight entrepreneurial edge to them, where they're adaptable and flexible and willing to try new things. So these ideas that you came up with, was this, again, a collaborative effort between corporate and franchisees? What if we try this, or what if we try this? How did that come about?
I think it's a combination. There are some ideas that came from our team here in the corporate office, but then there's been some really great ideas that have come from our franchisees. And I think that's what's really interesting, especially about the first several franchisees. They're buying a franchise for a reason. They're buying a proven system and the processes. They don't want to have to make the mistakes that we made when we were building our business 16 years ago. And, they can have a system that works. But if you're going to work with a micro emerging brand like us and be an early adopter, you have to have a bit of that entrepreneurial spirit. And we are a very collaborative environment. We do have systems in place, we have processes, but it's very collaborative because these franchisees are really smart business people who come with great ideas, and they can look at it through a clear lens of, hey, what if we do this, or what if we do that? And, we have that open environment, and it's to everybody's benefit. I mean, I love when a franchisee comes to us and says, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? If it's something that can make our system better as a whole, I think it's fantastic. So I love working with the founding franchisees and people who kind of embrace the early adoption piece of our business. I love that.
I think that's so much fun. And then on another element that goes into all of this, especially during this time, is how you market during a crisis and how you get your word out to your franchisees and support them in their marketing. So Michelle, how did you approach that? Because I'm sure you had to make sure that people knew that you would be protecting them, they would be comfortable. The curbside thing had to make them feel better, but there's got to be some sort of shift in your presentation, I would think. So what kinds of things did you do to sort of keep that pushing forward?
Yeah, so of course, COVID presented a lot of obstacles with marketing, but there are a lot of things that we continue to do. So as Amy mentioned, the curbside services, that was something that, we wrote press releases about that. Concierge services, we got a lot of free press on that. Right now, currently, we have an event coming up on October 8th. That's another thing that we're doing. It's called Freedom Day USA. We're doing free pet care services, baths, nail trims, grooms for pets of veterans and active duty military. So we're still continuing to market, sending out press releases, talking to people in local news, but also, in franchising, online news sources, also pet magazines. We're still marketing in social media, so Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and we continue putting the word out there. So we haven't stopped, that's for sure. It's definitely been ongoing. So we've just gotten creative, really. Our team gets together and we brainstorm and we think of new and innovative ways to reach people, and we just keep going.
That creative process is so much fun.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you put 2, 3, 4 people together, it just kind of blows up, right? It's one thing for one person to be the marketing guy or gal, and they're trying to get creative. But the minute you get the input of others, that brain power really, really increases. So I really like how you've done that.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can shift gears just a little bit, because we have some inside information about how you as corporate, actually each of you are vested in this company. And that is such a rare thing. And I'm wondering if the two of you, Amy, maybe you could begin, can address how that's created part of your culture and how you even decided to do that, and just kind of expound on that a little bit for me.
Sure. When we started Woofie's Pet Ventures, which is our franchise company, obviously we needed to raise some money to get the business started. and it was a friends and family round, basically. So we have family members who are invested, but also all of the key members of our franchise team have an investment in Woofie's, and that was really important to us. I want the key members of the team to have skin in the game. I want them to share that passion and commitment to move forward this business that we have. And I know the type of women that are on our team would do it regardless, but I want them to have a piece of it. I think that's really important. And that was something that Leslie and I decided very early on. And I am so happy we did it this way. I wouldn't do it any other way. Everybody, it's our company. It's not Amy and Leslie's company. It's not some outside investor's company. It's our team. And I think that goes a really long way for all the team members. The commitment was going to be there no matter what, because that's the type of people that they are. But it just elevates that level of commitment even more when there's an investment.
Michelle, what's your feeling around that? Again, coming on towards just in the last year.
Yeah. I love the sense of, as Amy said, we're not working for someone else. Mm-mm. We all work for each other and with each other. And, having that common goal, that common interest. So it feels different than any other job or career track or experience that I've had, where you're kind of, what you're doing is outside of yourself. Mm-hmm. This is a very much, this is something that I'm doing that benefits the team, but also, benefits me personally, not just monetarily, but I mean, also like with, my ideals, the service to community, client, the service to clients and the love of pets, all of that really meshes with who I am as a person. So it really is wonderful to be able to take, to have that different experience within Woofie's.
So again, I want to validate, you guys are so fascinating and interesting to me as a scientist who has studied business for almost 30 years now and done predictive modeling of the kinds of businesses that would be the most successful and the kinds of franchisees. And two things that you're doing that's just brilliant. And I hope those that are listening that are franchisors and potential franchisees will really pay attention to these two very valuable facts. One is a collaborative culture is always the most gratifying and fulfilling culture that any organization can have. It creates a longer retention of the franchisee, longer retention of the employees, and never mind, you're happier, right? Just the way you explained, Michelle. And then secondly, employee-owned businesses, if you look at them statistically, again and again, they rise to the top for all the reasons, Amy, that you pointed out. They're vested. All decisions are made for the benefit of all. It's made for the long haul. So you've done something so incredibly powerful here. I hope others will listen and learn from what you have created. I don't even have a question here. That was just, I had to validate you.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for your kind words. And I think I would actually love a big shout out to my business partner, Leslie, because we started this 16 years ago. We literally lived right across the street from each other. So all of our neighbors and friends were like, oh, this is crazy. What are you guys doing? You're good friends, your neighbors. This is never going to work. And we ended up quitting corporate jobs. Like I quit a 6-figure salary and to go walk dogs. And 16 years ago, so many people just did this as a hobby. They didn't look at it as a real business. And people just didn't really take it that seriously. And they kind of looked at us like, oh, girls, what are you doing? So I think the two of us together have been such a good match from day one. We really complement one another. And we do share the vision of what we had of Woofie's and those values. And that's what's extended down to everybody on our team and throughout the past 16 years. So I could never have done this without Leslie, without a doubt. It's been such an amazing ride, and I think the best is yet to come, which I'm really excited about. But I feel very lucky to have somebody like her by my side, because I don't think either one of us could have done it without the other. So she's just kind of the heart of the business, for sure.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is. I love that so much, but we are running out of time. And
I was thinking that same thing.
Talking to you guys.
I know it's been so much fun, but let people know if they are interested in learning more about Woofies and how they can get into a franchise, or just to reach you about your services. What is the best way for people to find you?
Michelle, our marketing.
Yeah. So if you're interested in franchising with Woofies, you would go to ownawoofies.com to learn more. All of the information that you need to know is on that website, including our contact information. Really easy to fill out a form, get to know us, get to know what we're about. And then also if you're, excuse me, if you're interested in consumer services, if you were looking for pet sitting, dog walking, mobile grooming, and if you're in the Northern Virginia area, you would go to woofies.com. So
thank you.
yeah.
And one thing about our team is, for any prospect that comes in who's looking at a franchise opportunity, we're engaged from the very beginning. So it's not this big reveal on discovery day and you meet the members of the team. We're right there every step of the way, and that's how we've done it with our first 3, and that's how we like to do it. So people will get to meet the Woofies crew very early on in that.
Which reminds me, do you have a picture of your team?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a picture?
Sure, if I can share my screen.
Yes, absolutely. Let me allow you to do that.
Okay.
Okay. Show us what you got.
I want to see these girls.
Okay. So there we are.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, look how cute you guys are.
Everybody from left to right.
Yes, please.
So on the left, on my left at least, is Caroline Murphy. She's our VP of Operations. Maggie Cruz is our VP of Franchising. There's Leslie Barron, co-owner, co-founder of Woofies. And that's Amy Reed, of course, next to her. Also co-owner, co-founder. Our CFO, Pat Colombo, is next to Amy, and there's me and my dog Napoleon next to Pat. So that's our team. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then if you can stop sharing, then we'll wrap this up.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that, Pablo and Colombo. I love it.
And I apologize.
Oh, Napoleon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I apologize, the days of COVID where we have Amazon coming to the door every 2 minutes and dogs at home jumping on the Zoom call.
Yeah.
So I am very sorry about that.
No, we just
worries.
go with the flow. There was actually a guy out my window just a second ago, like waving at me, knocking on the door, and I'm just ignoring him. And finally my son went and answered the door. So I feel ya.
I just got to adjust. It's COVID time, so.
Exactly.
Oh, biggie.
Well, thank you both
ladies.
so much. Yes, for your time.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks so much.